Hi, well, June has started, and we know what that means in Florida. That means that we have now entered hurricane season. This briefing is one of those that we hope we will never have to deploy and implement, but it is a necessary briefing. We know what happened last year. You saw Hurricane Michael bearing down on the Panhandle, and at the very last minute, we were spared. It took that right-hand turn and went into the Panama City area, but that could have been us. So we have to be ready, we have to be prepared. So that's why we encourage everyone to pay attention, and for every department and school to go ahead and check their hurricane resources, because you won't have time when the event is upon you. That's why we have to think about this before it starts. So today, to help with the presentation, we have Kyle Kinzer, who is the newly appointed coordinator for Protection Service. Mr. Kinzer.
Hey, good morning. All right, so today we're going to review the 2019 Severe Weather Plan. Our agenda for today, we're going to look at the outlook, so NOAA's outlook for the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. We're going to review action levels 1 through 5, and we're going to address any questions that you may have. The 2019 forecast is forecasted to be a normal season. As you can see, we're looking at 40% of a near normal season, 30% above normal season, and a 30% below normal season. So again, we're looking at a normal season. Across the entire Atlantic Basin, NOAA is predicting 9 to 15 named storms. We're looking at 4 to 8 of those becoming hurricanes, and potentially 2 to 4 of those reaching that Category 3 or higher status. So action level 5. We are currently in an action level 5 just because we are in hurricane season now. Hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th. So all departments and sites should be reviewing and updating their emergency plans. At this time, key personnel should know their roles and responsibilities in an event. Any changes to personnel should be submitted to the Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Mr. Dennis. We also need to be conducting any inventory of all emergency equipment and supplies. A good resource for replenishing those supplies are the warehouse, so things like plastic sheeting, batteries, and flashlights. And it's also a good time to check our emergency generators. So a big change for this year, for the 2019 season, if you recall in previous years, we had 10 general public shelters, and you can see now we're down to 4 public shelters, general shelters, being Bailey Middle School, Global Learning Academy, Molino Park Elementary, and Northview High School. And also note that Molino Park is also a pet shelter. You also note that the special needs shelter is now Success Academy, the new campus at Success Academy. And then also the shelters of last resort. So the 6 shelters that moved from the general public shelters that were there last year have moved to shelters of last resort. So those are Blue Angels Elementary, Ferry Pass Middle, Lipscomb Elementary, Pensacola High School, Tate High School, and Warrington Middle School. Another addition for shelters is that our law enforcement partners have agreed to provide law enforcement support while our shelters are open. So that's very important. So action level 5, so like I said, we are on action level 5 now. Our communications internally, pre-event, we're going to have weather and situational updates via district email, through phone trees, the district information line, and also through local media. Post-event really depends on that storm. So we're looking at phone trees, the district information line, and also local media. So action level 4, we now have a storm that's approaching us. The storm has moved into a quadrant north and west of 74 degrees west and 14 degrees north. Our Protection Services Department will serve as a liaison with the Emergency Operations Center and will advise the superintendent of the storm status. So at that time, all sites and departments will be notified via email by the Protection Services Department. So this kind of illustrates that level 4 action trigger. So this star right here is kind of that general area of 74 degrees west and 14 degrees north. School administrators and department heads will meet with key personnel and review that emergency plan that was developed during that action level 5. School administrators and department heads will need to initiate necessary action items. And again, at that time, working with the EOC will alert those shelters that are identified as shelters, so that way the shelter managers can prepare to activate their shelters. So level 4 mitigation, we need to pre-stage emergency equipment and supplies. We need to prepare for securing all information systems and computers. We're checking school and key personnel communication equipment, and we're preparing to secure all equipment and material on the exterior of our buildings. So level 3, the storm is approaching us. Protection Services Department will meet with the county's EOC. The district severe weather management team will meet, and there will be additional meetings with principals, directors, and other key staff. And information will continue to be distributed via the district information line, media, and additional emails from the Protection Services Department. So level 3, preparation and mitigation. At this time, we should be securing all equipment and materials located on the exterior of our buildings, and designated shelters should be working to prepare for shelter operations. Action level 2, the superintendent declares an emergency and announces the closing of schools. The closings will be announced via our internal and external communications. Severe weather management team and key personnel will be meeting, and the Protection Services Department will deploy to the Escambia County EOC. So action level 2, all implementations of all site protective measures, so all those plans that we put into place. Level 2, the storm is here. We need to have all those protective measures implemented. We need to complete securing information systems and computers, backup and securing all critical computer information as well, and we need to complete securing all equipment and material located on the exterior of our buildings. So action level 1, the storm is here. Schools are evacuated and secured. Designated shelters are open and manned. District offices are evacuated and secured, and our county EOC is up and running. So after the storm, this is very important. No employees should report to school sites until recalled by the superintendent, and this includes school administrative staff. So after the EOC declares it safe for key staff to travel, the district damage assessment team will be dispatched to conduct initial damage assessments at all sites. Principals will not conduct initial damage assessments and should not access schools until advised to by the superintendent. So again, post-storm, maintenance and facilities planning will implement critical repairs and protective measures to render buildings safe. All pertinent information will be communicated via the available internal and external communications, and the shelters will remain open and operational until the EOC determines to shut them down. After the Emergency Operations Center declares the community safe, and all school sites have been declared safe by the superintendent, principals will be contacted to conduct secondary damage assessment at their sites. All damage must be reported to our maintenance department, and we will also continue debris removal where necessary. So again, post-storm, principals shall not call in any employees or allow any employees on site until advised to do so by the superintendent. So post-storm, our severe weather management team will continue to meet and assess damage to schools and community and determine when to resume operations. Our 4 post-storm recovery phases that will be executed are the Phase 1 immediate recovery, Phase 2 immediate restoration, Phase 3 logistics, and Phase 4 our long-term recovery. So again, to reiterate, we have to prepare every season regardless, even though we say it's going to be a normal season, we have to prepare every season like it's going to be a very active season. Any questions?
So, it's going to be a normal season. That means for Florida, the percentages are extremely high that we will have a hurricane that will impact our state. Whether it impacts the Panhandle or somewhere in the state of Florida, Florida always, it could be one hurricane. Florida's probably going to have impact from that hurricane. So we're likely to get one of those majors. So we have to be alert. We have to be ready. Our community counts on us. They count on us to be ready when it comes so that we can secure our facility and protect it. They count on us to do the right thing when we release our students from school. And I'm counting on our leaders to do the right thing should we encounter a storm event. That means during the storm event, if school is canceled, that doesn't mean leaders are on vacation. You need to have your cell phone handy. You need to be accessible because we don't know exactly what will happen, and if we need to call on people to assist and help, we need you to be there standing by and ready. Again, our community counts on us to do this right so that after the storm, we can be the fastest group that can stand back up and get back into business after the storm, because we know from the past, if the school system is down, our community is down. The community cannot recover from a storm until the school district is back in session. because moms and dads can't go back to work and help with the recovery. So our role as leaders, it's critical throughout this process. Once again, we hope that we won't have to deploy this, but we'll be ready if it happens. Thank you.